On our first story, the Supreme Court has set January 4 as a day to hear the legal arguments in a case that could potentially determine whether or not Energy Minister John Peter Amewu is sworn in as MP for the Hohoe constituency on January 7. There's currently in force an injunction granted by a whole High Court barring the EC from gazetting Mr. Amewu as winner of the polls. The injunction was granted after residents of Santrofi, Akpafu and Lolobi challenged the results of the just ended parliamentary elections, and they say because they were not allowed to vote, it amounted to a breach of their rights. Deputy Attorney General Godfrey Adami argues the High Court erred when it granted the injunction and wants the Supreme Court to set it aside. The court today granted Mr. Dami's request. Let's hear more from Joseph Akable.
And he argues that there was no such right that the court should have moved in to protect. And that particular case ordinarily should have been heard on January 12, 2021, but the Attorney General's office has come to the Supreme Court with an application asking that the court hears the matter earlier than the January 12th date. And so that application was moved. Mr. Dami told the court that due to the urgency of the matter, because it affects representation of the Hohoe constituency and also in effect having an impact on the composition of Parliament on January 7, it was important that the court hears and determines the matter before January 7. And so he urged the court to grant his request to have the matter heard earlier than usual. Lawyers for the residents of Santofi, Akpafu, Lolobi and Midday are led by Mr. Chikata, who are not actually served in this particular matter. It was an ex parte motion which was not requiring that they should be present in court. Said they had heard about the case and so they showed up in the court to be heard. Mr. Chikata told the court that whatever decision it takes as to when the matter should be heard will have impact on the rights of his residents and their response to that particular case, and so he wanted to be heard. And when the court eventually proposed the date of January 4 to hear the matter, Mr. Chikata had told the court that you have preferred it is heard earlier than usual, but the court said that due to the statutory holiday being on January 1, it took the view that it should come back on January 4 to have the matter heard, and their understanding is that to be determined before January 7. So this is the situation with regards to the case relating to Santofi, Akpafu, Lolobi and Midday residents who do not want Mr. Amewu gazetted as the MP-elect for the whole constituency. Reporting for JoyNews from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
Now, some members of the opposition National Democratic Congress have clashed with natives of Hohoe during a supposed peaceful demonstration in protest against the recently declared presidential and parliamentary results by the Electoral Commission. The demonstration was organized in conjunction with some residents of the Seoul Enclave in the Oti region, who are also protesting their exclusion from participating in the parliamentary elections in the Hohoe constituency. The protesters were, however, prevented from entering the Hohoe Gbi Kweta by some warriors and the youth from the Gbi traditional area. Live on Joy News today. Now, in a related development, private legal practitioner Samson Ladi Ayenini has been explaining that if the NDC wants to select a Speaker of Parliament, then it must try and overturn the result of at least one of the contested seats before January 7.
The reason the NDC is so concerned and is fighting in the way it is doing and is not listening to all the calls to get off the streets and to resort to the court, because that is the only place where any results can be changed, is that the NDC's prayer is that the very first day they enter Parliament, they should be at least 138. That's been their struggle. So they need only one extra seat and they would have formed the majority party going into Parliament on the 7th. What that would mean for them is that they would have the opportunity to determine who becomes a speaker. Speaker is elected by simple majority. The only difficulty is that supposing they don't get this done and the speaker is elected now through some other party's machine. To remove the speaker, you need 3/4 of all members sitting. That will mean 70% of all the members of Parliament. So even if they went to court and won Techiman South or any other place, that is assuming that the NPP went to court and didn't win any of the seats. It is also right. Contesting. It will simply mean that the NDC cannot on its own remove the speaker, even if it forms a majority at a later time. That is their biggest concern, and the reason they insist that at least Techiman South should be resolved now before January 7. And that is also the reason they are putting up such a spirited fight through their candidate in the Hohoi place. And remember, not only the speaker, but they will determine, whoever has a majority will determine majority leader. They will determine the chairpersons of all the committees.
Now, Samson Ladi Ayenini is confident that the Supreme Court can adjudicate any petition brought before it by the NDC in the stipulated 42-day period. Ahead of election 2020, the Judicial Service released a set of rules which stated that any case brought against the presidential election result will be dealt with in 42 days. Now, though the opposition NDC criticized the decision because the merit of the case must be considered before the time for determining it is given, Mr. Ayenini believes enough procedural delays have been removed to allow for the swiftest possible determination of the case. He spoke on Prime Morning.
I am thinking that the 42 days is just perfect. Now, remember that they have not just provided for 42 days. They have also done away with certain things which will limit the lawyers and the party from, the typical litigious attitude that drags a case. So after you file your case, initially you were allowed to amend and to alter your case from time to time until judgment had been rendered. But with the new rules, once you file the case, you are not allowed by law to amend or to alter your case in a way that changes the reliefs that you have come to seek in the courts. And then only the presidential candidate of the aggrieved party is allowed to be the party who is going to sue. No other, the party itself is not allowed to join. Like in the 2013, you saw NDC join the suit. It's not.
Live on Joy News today. Now, teachers participating in the ongoing Common Core Program CCP workshop at the KNUST Center are boycotting the event over what they describe as unfair treatment. The workshop is organized by Ghana Education Service will engage the teachers on the implementation of the new curriculum for junior high schools. The teachers say they deserve better than the 200 cedis the GES is giving them as remuneration for the 5-day workshop. Some say they will boycott the workshop until the money is adjusted upwards. Kwesi Deborah joins us from KNUST. Right, and Kwesi has joined us live on the bulletin. Kwesi, first of all, help us understand, why are the teachers saying this?
Yeah, so some time ago, their counterparts, also from the junior high school, participated in the same event, and they were given about 600 cedis. So they were thinking, because of the 600 cedis that was given to them, and the fact that they are a bit of a lower level, they're thinking they at a higher level where, you know, they are training, they'll be training teachers for the SHS. And so they think that they deserve better. If they were given 600 cedis, they can't be given 200 cedis, which they think is quite disrespectful. So that's why they are boycotting the whole thing. Until that is addressed, they are not going back. And again, they were placed at the various posters around KNUST, and what they said was that they were expecting that, you know, COVID protocols be observed. We were having Veronica buckets around and stuff like that. But there's a case where they went to the rooms, and two of them, as opposed to, as in the two of the teachers, as opposed to occupy a room. Initially, it was 4 where they complained, and now there are 2. And the other thing which they find better falling is the issue of the food that they are given. They were billed 10 cedis every morning, and also in the afternoon, that's 20, and also in the evening 20. And the food that they be given, the first one that they showed me was the breakfast. That was a bun, an egg, and a sort of a drink. I don't know whether it's a Milo or something, but before they say it's tea, which goes for 10 cedis, and they think is not up to that. It might be some 5 cedis, and there's a case where there's not even much sugar in it. So they think they are being disrespected. As a result of these 3 I've mentioned, the issue of food, the accommodation, and also the remuneration, they think they are not going back. They should go back.
Right, Kwesi, let's hear some of these teachers.
We are called to come and have a program, that is a new curriculum, which the government wants to introduce together with the foreign aids and the foreign donors to make our education a better one. We came on the 26th. We were expecting that, taking the Christmas into consideration, we were going to be giving us something better. Only to be told 200 Ghana cedis. If you're moving from my area to this place, the lorry fare alone, this one can't pay. The kind of food they serve us, they didn't even talk to us. They didn't even consider us. Whether you are pepper free or this, they just prepare the food and bring it. For instance, I took some rice because it was full of Maggi. I had to run. I was running just like that yesterday. You run and you see blood stains in your toilet. So, if for nothing at all, some of our colleagues came some months ago. They were giving survey, and they said even when they went to back to their district to teach the teachers at the primary level, everything put together was I think 1,003. If they will not give us anything at all, they should have considered the COVID situation, the asthma situation, and then even talk it up for us. As we speak now, go to where we sleep. There's nothing like COVID protocol where we sleep. There's nothing like COVID. Oh, look at all these risks. So we are appealing to them. If they have nothing meaningful for us, we'll go. Or else after the program, we go and sit down or be sleeping in our rooms and nothing else.
Kwesi Deborah is still with us. Kwesi, what's the latest update on this?
Yes, Daniel, the various district directors of education heard of the incident, and so most of them have come here trying to talk to their people going back to the class and participating in it. But there is a case where most of them have also started going to various hostels, and some of them would even want to listen to the education directors. They think they are aware of the situation and they should have done something about it a long time ago. There is a case where it has risen to this level and they are coming to talk to them. It wouldn't wash. So most of them are going back to their hostels, and but some of the district the education directors have managed to call their people. They are I can see them around. They are under the tree trying to talk to them to rescind their decision. So then that's what's happening. We'll be monitoring the situation and waking up.
Thank you very much, Kwesi Deborah. Now, if you would recall, yesterday, that was on Tuesday, teachers in the three regions which formed the former Northern region also embarked on similar demonstrations and boycott of the same training. Back to our earlier story now, and some members of the opposition National Democratic Congress have clashed with natives of Hohoe during a supposed peaceful demonstration in protest against the recently declared presidential and parliamentary results by the Electoral Commission. The demonstration was organized in conjunction with some residents of the Seoul enclave in the Oti region who are also protesting their exclusion from participating in the parliamentary elections in the Hohoe constituency. The protesters were, however, prevented from entering Hohoe at Gwikweta by some warriors and youth from the Gwi traditional area. Fred Kwame Asare joins us via Zoom with more. So, Fred, how did this degenerate into the clash? Live on JoyNews today, there's more. Stay with us. You're live on JoyNews today. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the executive director of a think tank, Africa Education, was Kofi Asare, is suggesting that government runs the shift system in schools to ensure social distancing due to the pandemic. President Akufo-Addo is expected to make a firm decision on school reopening in January 2021 after a cabinet meeting today. Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah last week said President is receiving briefings from the COVID-19 Technical Task Force on limited school reopenings. Kofi Asare says a complete reopening is possible if the schools run a shift system.
No country in the world has been able to contain the entire student situation at a go. In countries like in Switzerland, in Netherlands, and other countries that reopen schools very, very much earlier in the day, they are all running, school in batches. There are countries where a group of people go to school on Monday and Tuesday. The next group will go to school on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And the next week, the group that had 2 days will do 3 days and then 2 days. In our part of the world, we are used to the shift system. And so if schools with high class sizes that cannot reasonably distance within the 1 meter regulation of UNESCO and GES will definitely have to run morning and afternoon shifts. And then schools that have the capacity to accommodate all their students within the 1 meter physical distance, and especially most of the private schools should be allowed to run their system. The most important thing is that you run the class with 1 meter distancing of desks within the classroom. So again, that's what I'm saying. We are used to the shift system, and it should be possible for us to adjust to this 1 meter physical distancing, operate class sizes of between 30-35, and still run the school in either shifts, or when you go to rural areas where class sizes are smaller, they can do their regular schooling.
Now, the president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, NAPS, Dr. Damascus Trosong, says his organization needs support from government to make sure the reopening is smooth.
Just like what happened in the previous phased reopenings, government supported our schools by fumigating the schools, by supplying us with PPEs just like the public schools, and in some cases, even providing feeding for some of our students. We expect going into the full-scale reopening that government will continue with the supply of PPEs to private schools as well. From the effects of this virus and the closure of schools on private educational sector, it is virtually impossible to allow us and ask us to procure everything on our own. It's not going to be possible for us to do that. So we expect that government is going to take us on board, not just in the supply of PPEs, but when it comes to some educational material, books, assisting us financially to resuscitate our businesses. We expect all those levels of support from government moving forward.
Away from education, telling stories that challenge the status quo and cause change in the society requires grit, boldness, and fearlessness. But this quality in the field of journalism doesn't always amuse people. Sometimes, for their troubles, reporters get threatened, maimed, and in extreme cases, killed. Even though Ghana's 1992 constitution guarantees press freedom, sustained attacks on journalists, which have only gotten worse in recent times, continue. On the back of the recent attacks on journalists, my colleague Manuel Kranting has been sampling views on how this impacts the work of journalists.
And so if you have 80% of the country being, polarized on political lines, if a journalist comes out with something that is, purported to favor the other party, then they are going as that person. But it is the responsibility of the political parties themselves to educate their people. And so if you have political leaders attacking the media, definitely the followers are going to attack the media. Because I think apart from religion in this country, one, set of people that are listened to by their followers is political parties, political party leaders. And so, because previously, although we have never been a perfect nation when it comes to protecting journalists, journalists have always been attacked. But what has happened is that even if journalists are attacked in the past, people could speak about it. People could talk about it. Journalists could dare to do certain stories because they knew that nobody was going to threaten them, or that even if someone was going to threaten them, the state was going to take a keen interest in protecting them from those threats. In the past 4 years, that hasn't been the case. Because you do a story and it is perceived to be making the government unpopular, then you are singled out for attacks. And these attacks are not being taken seriously by the state. That should be the cause for concern
of our democracy, especially on journalism. You mentioned Ahmed Swale. He was threatened by a state official, an elected member of parliament for Asin Central, on live television. Days or weeks after, he's gone. And up till now, we've not heard anything. There has been no investigation whatsoever. I don't know if there was. And because the public was not told whether or not...
Well, we know that there's investigation, except it hasn't been closed yet.
Exactly. And it's taken too long.
Right. Now, Article 162 of the 1992 Constitution, that is a provision that gives the media the freedom and then the independence to actually, carry out their responsibilities. Now, That clause, 162 of the 1992 Constitution, it explicitly, I repeat, it explicitly says that freedom and independence of the media are hereby guaranteed. Now, the question I want to ask is that, is it guaranteed just on paper, or is it a guarantee that is supposed to be ensured by institutions in the country? Now, that's a question that we need to ask ourselves as citizens, ask ourselves as media personnel, ask ourselves as political parties. Now, I give you scenarios of both political parties. This general elections, 2020 elections, both general main parties in the country, and some of the incidences that have been recorded. And then you ask yourself whether indeed these people who want to lead us even have an idea of the constitution that guides the country.
For me, I think that the general public as an entity itself has also joined in the whole fight against press freedom, because we have a situation in Ghana where journalists put out stories and people tend to identify those journalists with the political parties those stories sometimes tend to favor. I think it is an affront to the fight against press freedom, because as a general public, without the journalists, we remain in the dark. We remain uninformed of things that actually go on in government. And so if the journalist has been able to muster the courage to put out a story on something that he thinks is wrong and must be corrected, you don't come out as general public to rather insult the journalist and put the journalist in a very tight corner. Because I think that these are the things that give these unscrupulous individuals the opportunity to also do whatever they want to do.
We don't want the Jamal Khashoggi kind of situation.
Now, as we count down to the end of 2021, we celebrate our virtual community as part of our 25 years of impactful journalism. Today, we focus on discerning listeners and viewers of our award-winning show, Newsfile.
Good morning and welcome to Newsfile. You know this is your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first.
That's how for years you have opened your homes to us, dedicating your Saturday mornings to the JoyNews brand. Newsfile has been a household name and a reference point for discussions around the most crucial issues confronting the nation. You have allowed us to serve you with undiluted content, speaking to every side of the issue.
We will not be discussing this matter because it's so petty.
Okay.
This issue to me is not about them. My position would have been the same if Nana Addo was the Auditor General and Domlevo was the President.
I don't know it all, but the point is that simply referring to them and their position as, look, coming from people who are in bed with the opposition party is disingenuous. And don't.
Sometimes it gets heated.
Assume that they're going to take 90% of equity. How much profit are you going to make on that box side to pay your $400 million to the hydro? It makes absolutely no sense.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. To come and refine bauxite. So you use that to pay.
Other days, it's just thrilling.
Guys, Esla, John, please help us to wish Kweku Bako a very, very, very happy birthday. Right. Thank you. This is the Chairman General. Oh, wow. The Chairman General. Please. Take my seat.
No, this seat is too big.
Yeah, no. This is your seat.
Hello, girlfriend. How are we?
Am I not lucky to have two of my favorite men here?
You know,
and wearing my colors.
Ojam, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
66 is just.
I can see his.
Wish you the very best. I'm just kicking myself that I'm not in the studio.
Total privilege to even be able to share some space with him, although virtually. It's just a pity I can't get to share in that cake.
No matter which side of the divide you belong, we give a fair hearing and have you ask your questions.
Gura Batinos, his question is, can I go back to stamp my ballot paper after voting and later detect that the ballot paper is not stamped?
I would advise for your ballot to be secret, you have to declare it as spoiled. Go for a new one and ensure that it has been stamped.
John Gitian will appear at 3 p.m. on The Pulse for a full version of that particular report. And of course, thank you so much for staying with us on all of our shows here on Multimedia. It's time for business, and Daryl Cow is standing by.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. The board of the African Development Bank has approved a 2021 borrowing program of up to $10.4 billion to be raised from the capital markets. The funds will help finance the bank's projects and programs in Africa for the year. There's more in the following Business Desk report. The fund, which is in excess of about $10 billion, will be raised from the capital markets, both locally and internationally. The African Development Bank, which is active in various international capital markets, will continue to promote the development of African capital markets with the issue of local currency denominated debt to facilitate the financing of its local currency operations alongside other initiatives. In the socially responsible investment arena, the bank continues to be active and a regular issuer of green and social bonds. This was highlighted by its award-winning and landmark $3 billion three-year Fight COVID-19 social bond earlier this year. The African Development Bank has also continued to use its high-five operational priorities as a platform to issue 19 theme bonds, including Improve the Quality of Life for the People of Africa and Light Up and Power Africa bonds. It will also support the development of African capital markets by deepening the bond market. The African Development Bank is rated AAA by all the major international rating agencies. With a stable outlook, it is also rated by the environmental, social, and governance rating agencies.
Well, it's time for a dose of sport here on JoyNews today. Now let's go to our first story. And former Netherlands and Middlesbrough midfielder George Boateng has not hidden his desire to coach the Black Stars in the near future. Now the 45-year-old, who is now in charge of the under-23 team of EPL side Aston Villa, has been expressing his thoughts to one of us here at Joy Sports. Now Asari Bediako has more in the following report.
Even though he was born in Ghana, George Boateng represented the Netherlands at international level, earning 4 caps in total. After spells at 9 clubs, including Feyenoord and Middlesbrough, and making 499 appearances, the 45-year-old caught time on his career in 2013, but he did not move too far away from the sport he loves so much. He ventured into coaching in 2014. He began at Malaysian club Kelantan FA. These days, he's the head coach of the under-23 team of his former club Aston Villa. George Boateng is eager to give everything for the Birmingham-based club, but his long-term dream is to coach the Black Stars.
If the Black Stars need me, I will always be available. I've always said that, and I would always help. I have a very good relationship with the GFA, with Mr. Okraku and the Vice President, Mr. Mark Addo. They are doing a great job now. And I've always indicated that if they need my services, I'm always able to talk. And if we can then come together and put our heads together and achieve and agree on something, that's perfect. But yeah, there will definitely be an interest to one day to manage Black Stars.
George Boateng is happy with the work of current Black Stars coach CK Akono.
CK is doing it. Let him do it. Let him give him the time that he needs to develop and to put a good team together. I'm not after his job at all. I think I'm now in a very good position where I'm enjoying my coaching. I love Aston Villa. I love what I'm doing. It's a great club. We are back in the Premier League.
He may not have represented Ghana at international level, but his desire to coach the Black Stars in the not too distant future is still burning.
Some athletics now, and the Secretary General of the Ghana Athletics Association has revealed plans for the body for the year 2021. Now, he says that should they execute these plans, the sport will have good performance at the Tokyo Olympic Games.
COVID-19 pandemic disrupted the calendar of the athletics governing body in the country. The GAA could only organize one circuit championship instead of 4, as it has been the practice since 2014. The circuit championships are meant to keep athletes in shape for continental and global competitions. However, due to the pandemic, the GAA were unable to organize competitions to prepare athletes for competitions, including the Olympic Games. Secretary General of the Athletics Association, Bawa Fuseni, tells Joy Sport they will do all they can to ensure Ghana's participation in the upcoming Olympic Games is a spectacle.
In the Olympics, we are also hoping to get money to able to support our foreign-based athletes for those who are at the threshold of qualifying. Janet Amponsa, Ho Halute, Deborah Aqua, John Ampuma, and a host of others are just at the threshold of qualifying. What they need for them is to just to support them financially for them to be able to continue training to compete in the European circuit so they'll be able to qualify. Those who have also qualified, Nadia Eke and Joseph Paul Amwa, we have to send them to European camping so that they will be in Europe and continue training and competing till the time they go to the Olympic Games. If we are able to do all these things, I think Ghana at the Olympics will be in a very good spectacle for people to see.
Bauer also revealed a plethora of plans put in place to ensure 2021 is a success for athletics in the country.
Going into 2021, we have already planned a lot of programs, both within Africa, West Africa, Ghana, and the world at large. In Ghana, we are currently doing coaching and official call that will run into 2021 up to November. In between those courses, we will be doing high-profile competitions. We will do ECOWAS Championship in Kaduna. There will be African cross-country in Lomé, Togo. There will be African Championship in Algeria, Algiers. We will also continue to do our circuit championship, and if we get money, then we'll do full-blown national championship at least before the Olympic Games. So these are all programs that we will be engaging in come 2021.
The GAA will be hoping to have as many athletes as possible qualify for the Olympic Games, which was postponed to 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hello there, time now for some showbiz updates. And after taking a long break from active music, former member of musical group Brothers, Kunta Kinte, says he's back at active music and will be releasing more songs next year. Now, Kunta Kinte, who suffered a stroke some years ago, in a conversation with my colleague Ibrahim Ben Bako, says he will be kicking 2021 off with a new single.
Hamilton, well, this is one guy. Well, I think the energy is too much. He can't just contain it. How was it when you got back on stage?
Oh, it was so good. It was excellent. Yeah.
Did it bring back memories?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we ever having anything from Kunta or Brothers again?
First January there. Sooner than you think.
Well, that is what he's saying. Kunta Kinte is giving you the 411 that by 1st of January. So, is it from Brothers?
Check it is the K.
That's Kunta Kinte.